Hello and welcome to 1 in 20 D&D. I am Gregory and here we go with the Session 18 recap for the VÄRLDEN Reach. This is a 5e D&D campaign. I play one of the players in the game. Right at the beginning of the session, we picked up where we had just captured the assassin that was supposed to be the bodyguard of Echo. Echo being the kind of current head of the crime syndicate of the Hemlig within the city of Falkirk. We had killed Echo at the very end of our last session and again captured his henchman, this assassin woman who we had encountered before, and we had kind of freed her the first time, let her go, and here she is rearing her ugly head again. So with her help and asking her some questions, we got the sense and figured out that here's what was going on. Echo had captured the granddaughter of the mayor and the son of the constable of Falkirk. Now, this is why the constable and the mayor had kind of fallen in line with what the Hemlig wanted to do and weren't really pushing back at all. We also found out that they were being kept right here in this kind of underground hideout underneath the palace, and that the palace being the kind of the performance hall, the great performance hall within the city of Falkirk where all the great bards play. And we went ahead and with her help again, we found a secret door behind a bookshelf in Echo's office, go down this corridor, and we find the two kids. They're teenagers, 15, 14-ish, and we, unlock the door, let them know we're going to get them out and get them back to their families. In the same cell block, there was two kind of little jail cells. There's another jail cell. We find a curious woman. She is well, in game terms, she is a fire genasi. Now, I don't think that any of us have any idea what she is at the moment as far as her race. Our characters, that is. But as players, of course, we know what she is, and we recognize her, and we're like, what are you doing in here? And through a quick bit of conversation, came to find out that she had been captured by Echo because she was asking the wrong questions and being a little obvious about it. So she also kind of let us know that she had built this. We had found a strange device in one of these chests that were locked outside the two jail cells, some containing clothes, some containing her gear, and along with her gear was this crazy contraption. Well, it turns out that it is her invention, and it is very dangerous, according to her. So we're like, all right, we should keep an eye on this gal, and maybe we should figure out what this is, and if it's as dangerous as she claims to be, and it's possible it might fall into the wrong hands, or perhaps even already has, because apparently her best version of this weapon has been taken along with all of her notes on how to create it, and she's afraid that someone might be trying to replicate them. Now, the assassin is still with us, and the assassin says we should be able to find some of this information back on Echo's desk. So we go back, and sure enough, we find out that we find some information about where they were feeding money to the mayor to make it look as if he was working with them, kind of a front. So the mayor's actually not a bad guy. He just was concerned about his granddaughter and kind of doing what he was told. And then we also find this information where apparently some woman named Lyra was contacting Echo saying, if you're interested in this stuff, I can get you more. Now, apparently there's this undercurrent happening within the Hemlig where they're trying to possibly acquire what this woman who we find, her name is Pyre. Her hair is on fire. I didn't mean to rhyme, but hey, that's how it came out. And she is amazing. And instantly, Tracy's character, Lily, kind of was totally captivated by this woman. Which, she's got a little thing with fire and is fascinated by fire and drawn to it like a moth to a flame, as it were. So she was instantly, enamored with Pyre. I think Jermaine and Marana were sort of more curious is how I was feeling. Like, this is interesting. Maybe we ought to see where this thread leads us. So we let her out. We go through this desk, find the information, and confirm what both the assassin and Pyra's stories were. So they kind of corroborated, and we're like, okay, let's check this out. We're gonna bring the kids back to the mayor and the constable. Now we go to go up through the palace, through the kitchen. And when we get to the stairway, Marana uses her trinket, and which allows her to cast the arcane eye and do a little kind of sightseeing or not sightseeing, scouting. So she sends her eye upstairs, and a few moments later, she becomes like pale white, cancels the spell, and just says, okay, we're not going that way. We're going out the way we came. After we had this long discussion about how Jermaine really didn't want to go through the kitchen and the palace because who knows who might see him and who might start asking questions and this whole thing. And Jermaine was like, I really think we should go through the sewer the way we came. And everybody's like, no, we should go the fast way. It's better for the kids. We don't this and that. And then we're like, Jermaine finally says, okay, if that's what everyone wants to do, let's do that. And now, of course, Marana's like, no, we're not going that way. So, okay, why? And we're just not going that way. So Jermaine was a little frustrated and said, I hope sometime you'll trust us the way we trust you. And then kind of left with that. It just frustrated. It's still irritating that Marana clams up so much. And he understands, I think. Gregory understands for sure. I think it's wonderful. But Jermaine is still a little challenged by it. He's so open with people. It's like when someone else is not, it kind of like it confuses him a little bit, and he just wants to help or wants to understand, but well, it's just another puzzle for him to play with and find out about. So here we go. So they leave, bring back the kids. When they get there, they kind of turn over the assassin to the constable, and the mayor, they're kind of like saying to the mayor, like, okay, we've kind of handled things here in town, but if things might get ugly again. And the mayor's like, have you really handled everything in town? Because Ulfgar is who we're really concerned about. He's the crazy one. To which we're like, Ulfgar, what are you talking about? So where is this guy? We asked the mayor, and he's like, I'm not sure, somewhere around town. And Marana says he's at the palace. So it's like, okay, raised eyebrow. Okay, is that what was going on when you freaked out a little bit before and didn't tell us why? So we are gonna go. We tell the mayor, like, we're gonna handle this. So we go back to the palace, but this time we're going like through the main entrance. And as soon as we get into the palace, it's like, people stand up, table slides. Ulfgar, sitting at the bar, looks up and says, "What?" He's like, well, look who's here. And he kind of has this little flirtatious, but kind of a little rude, a little challenging interaction with Marana. And Marana's response to it is to shoot an arrow at him. So, of course, combat ensues. So we get this fun bar fight, which Jermaine, having dealt with Echo and being relieved of the responsibility, because he really wanted to kill the assassin, but that, like, the others kind of helped deal with that. Like, first they were able to overwhelm her and, like, bind her and kind of take her captive, and then turned her over to the constable so that she could be dealt with by the law. So he's kind of like, he feels like retribution. The guards were killed, Echo was killed, and now whoever was really doing the terrorizing apparently seems like we're going to deal with them right now. So Jermaine's pretty stoked. And on top of that, hey, you forgot to tell them about the item. We should, okay, so on top of that, you should tell them about the item. Yeah, okay, yes. Are you going to tell them about the item? Yes, Jermaine, I'm going to get to that. I skipped over a little bit. I know. We'll get to that. Sorry. So, yes, we found all kinds of treasure. We don't know what the treasure is. Jermaine got his mandolin back. That all happened in the last session. I'm trying to talk about this session. So, yeah, well, that's Jermaine. I'll introduce him in the future here. So, anyway, back to what I was saying. So we're in this. So it's bar fight time. It's combat time. So we have this quick combat. We'd like it gets crazy. Actually, Jermaine got scared because first Ku goes down in this fight like really quickly right off the bat. Ku got injured and then went unconscious, and then a few moments later Marana's unconscious. So Jermaine is like freaking out a little bit, but between Lily and himself they're able to kind of like revive everyone and get everyone healed up, of course, and overcome this. While we're in there, Pyre kind of helps us with this fight, and lo and behold, she throws this stone across the room and it transforms and expands into this giant metal dinosaur. Freaking Dinobot transformer in the house. So now like Jermaine is really overwhelmed and like, what is this? And doesn't anyway, so it was cool. Actually, that's Sparks. We got introduced to Sparks, and I guess I should say at some point, Pyre and Sparks are being played by Courtney. She was our guest player in this session. So I should have mentioned that right out of the gate. We had a guest for this session. Courtney played Pyre and Sparks, and they're awesome. They, in this combat, they were fantastic. We had a quick dealing with Ulfgar. Ulfgar ended up being killed. I think he actually got... Oh yeah, Ku took the final blow against Ulfgar and like chewed his throat out. Lily was awesome in this fight. Tracy had Lily use two divine channel divinity powers, like one after another in two different rounds, two successive rounds. So she sends out these like bursts of radiant energy, and like the first round wipes out half of the minions, second round wipes out the rest and damages everybody else. It was awesome in combat. It was super cool to see that. So we had this fun combat. Now, then we kind of collect ourselves. Now, I should say Morgan was absent for this session, so Perdita was kind of NPC'd for the session and in the background. So we get done with this combat and we're like, okay, we've dealt with this. But when we got into the palace, the manager, who we all suspect is connected with the Hemlick, she takes off. She like bolts out the door. So as soon as combat's over, which only took a few rounds, I think it was not even 3, it was like 2.5 rounds or something in game terms. So like 30 seconds of combat and it's like all done, and the not even 30 seconds, the managers run out the door. So Jermaine like immediately heads to the door, like once he's sure like everybody's a lot like breathing and they're conscious and breathing, he bolts to the door to see if he can't see where the manager went. And lo and behold, when he gets outside, he sees a small contingent of the Brennan army coming down the street, actually like trotting towards him, and he recognizes the commander at the head. Now, this was an old commander. He was in a combat. I'll maybe get into some of that during the game session, but for the sake of the moment, we'll just say this is probably the commander that Jermaine respects the most. And he had been promoted up from captain when Jermaine was serving unto him, and now his rank insignia identified him as a major. He greets him and he says, hey, the major's like, what has been going on? And Jermaine is like, well, let's go inside and I'll explain everything. So they fill in the major on what's been going on. He agrees, like here, he says that, well, maybe it's a good time. We were just doing, like drills and stuff outside the city, some exercises outside the city. So maybe and we were just coming in to eat and get something, some drinks and, whatever, and relax a little bit. So maybe it's good that we're here. We can kind of clean things up for you guys. So Marana's having a total meltdown because after Alina, so first you have what's his name? Oh gosh, Nero. So first the gnome Nero recognizes her and like kind of pops something on her from her time in Handle, which freaks her out a little bit. Then the next morning, Alina and Titus up and leave, which on some level, I'm sure it didn't surprise her, but it definitely hurt Marana. Everybody, I think, can tell she's really upset about that, but still kind of willing to do her job. And I mean, that's the kind of woman she is. So she's willing to do her job and, kind of muscle through or, grin and bear it. So not that Marana grins very much, but she's trying to get through this. And anyway, so she pushes through and helps everyone. But then she sees this guy Ulfgar, who we know nothing about. Gregory knows nothing. The characters know nothing. Who the hell is Ulfgar? All we know is that he deserved to die. That's pretty much what Marana had said to everyone. Is like, he's just someone who, he actually told Lily. She actually told Lily, Lily, I have someone for you to kill. And I think when Jermaine asked, like, so who is this guy, or who was he, or whatever, it was like someone who needed to die. That was pretty much all we've gotten. So who the hell is Ulfgar? I guess we'll have to wait and find out down the road. Anywho, long story short, over dinner, so Jermaine went to see his uncle. No, they all had lunch together and kind of thought about, like, what should we do next. Jermaine went to see his uncle to let his uncle know everything was cool. Just, said he'd come back for dinner and, with the group. They meet again at dinner. In that time, the others were going to go and have the items that we had found in the treasury, let's call it, of Echo. They were going to go have those items identified, but Pyre said, hey, I can identify those for you. So they handled that while Jermaine was off checking in with his uncle. He comes back for dinner. Not only did he get the mandolin back, which he's pretty happy about, his uncle was able to make the last final notes or what have you to finish his next great loot that he's working on, which he thinks he'll have finished the next morning. So Jermaine's excited about that. So he gets back. He's excited about that. And then he finds out that we had found this headband, golden headband, and a golden arrow. It's kind of, smallish arrow. So here you go, Jermaine. So Jermaine got a treat because this magic item is made for bars, and essentially, I'm going to just cut it short and say it's basically Hondo's arrow. And everyone knows Hondo from Guardians of the Galaxy, right? So the whoever wears the circlet can whistle, and using that whistle can control the arrow, and it's a weapon. It's a ranged weapon, kind of like the range of a short bow, but there's no long range for it. So Jermaine's stoked. He's like, this has been a great day. And then Marana's like, yeah, great, and goes over and grabs an ale at the bar because she's on the total other end of the spectrum. Jermaine's a little clueless at the moment, which kind of sucks, but that's his character. I mean, it's not that he won't notice, or maybe he didn't notice. I think it's more that he can't help himself, because it's like when he got to Falkirk, he was so oppressed by what was going on with his uncle, and in the city. This is his city. This is where he, so does Oz. This is where he, went to the Bard College and all of this. So this is like his home, and to have the Hemlig come in and being like roughing people up and making it this like ugly city. No way. He was upset and pissed and just overwhelmed, and now he's kind of like breathing this kind of little bit of air, or he's getting this little sense of relief. He's breathing some fresh air of like, okay, that's over. I think everything's a little back to normal. I mean, it might get crazy again, but they know we're here to help. They know if they need to, they can get us and we'll help. The Major is here. He can deal with it. Things are good. My uncle's back on track. He's got this yoke off his shoulders. The noose is no longer around his neck. He's not being extorted now. So things are good. And it's kind of I think it'll be now that he's kind of like, okay. And now when he's coming back to reality, I think it'll be like, oh, wow. Some really, really, really heavy stuff just went down for Marana. She's probably going to need our support, and maybe she needs space, but she's definitely going to probably need her friends. I mean, we're her friends now. Whether she wants to admit it or not, we're her friends. We're not going to let her not be our friends. So, last thing. So, cool things that happened. Got some cool magic items figured out. Met this really cool, new, interesting person who there's a potential that they might become our fifth member of our team. That is yet to be seen. But nevertheless, a fantastically awesome guest player. I mean, Courtney did fantastic. Courtney, you were awesome. Loved your role playing. Loved what you did with the character. It was fun. This was a fun episode, fun session. Other cool things that happened that I have kind of glossed over and really wanted to touch base on. Something really, really sweet that's been happening in this session specifically, was that Tracy and Marana had a couple of key moments of like warming to each other, like seriously warming into, like after the battle, Marana used her healing ability on Lily. So I'm sorry, I said TBQ and Tracy's characters. I'm screwing up the names. Forgive me, I get so excited. So TBQ and Tracy have been playing their characters in this very untrustworthy way. They don't. Lily and Marana are kind of like they don't get along really well up till this point, at least. And in this session, there was these couple key moments where there's this little bit of like, I think we can get along. I think we're gonna be okay together or something. It was just super cool. I can't. It's hard after the fact to express what you felt in that moment on some things, about some things. It just was so sweet to me. Like, wow. And everybody, even Mark, you said something during the game. Our DM said something during the game. He's like, whoa, that was huge when Marana did this for Tracy. And then Tracy goes between lunch and dinner. She goes and gets a book on meditation. Kind of, again, like just this little olive branch. Not the right timing for Marana. Marana wasn't in a headspace to receive it as this kind of thoughtful gift. And at the same time, I'm sure it's something that down the line will be really important. And so there was these really cool moments, like 2 or 3 moments between Marana and Lily. And then, and on a similar note, there was 1 or 2 really kind of sweet moments with Jermaine and Lily. Just these kind of like silly, really friendly. It was role-playing stuff that came out during the session that was just these like really friendly, fun stuff. It was such a nice session on that level. So we've had, it's neat over the last couple weeks what's happened, where you have like Perdita and Lily are starting to develop a little bit of a friendship and trust with each other. That's been pretty clear for a little while. Of course, Perdita and Jermaine, Jermaine absolutely trusts Perdita. He really feels like she's got this very grounded sense of duty and morality, which he really, again, I've said it before, he really respects that. Of course, Morgan wasn't in this session, so that didn't really come out during this session. But I'm just tying it in here is that there's these really interesting ties. These interesting. It's neat to see how everybody's kind of knitting together. These 4 friends, 4 co-workers, 4 companions that they're becoming friends. It's really cool. I mean, in time inside the game, it's only been not even 2 months yet. So they barely just started to get to know each other. So it's really neat, even though we've been playing for like 5 months or whatever it is. So it's really neat. It's just super fun to watch this. And now we have this new interesting character who's going to be again with us this next session. And we're going to try a little thread and see how it goes. And again, who knows? Maybe this will become our 5th member for our team, since Alina and Titus for the foreseeable future have cut out and gone their way because Titus needed to handle his stuff. Who knows? At least for the sake of the time being, the Vactera is very interested in making sure these weapons do not fall into the wrong hands. And of course, for anyone that doesn't know, she's an artificer. She has a boomstick. A thunder cannon is what it's called. Thunder cannon. This big, huge, arcane, magical rifle, cannon, whatever you want to call it, shotgun. So it's loud, it's big, it's nasty, it hurts. All right, I think that's all I want to say this time. I could talk all night, you guys. I love this stuff. I love this game, and I love my group, the VÄRLDEN Reach. We are having a ton of fun every week. I hope you'll tune in for the next one. I will try to keep them from getting too out of control and stick to the most important stuff as always. I can't wait for Saturday. I am very much looking forward to see what's happening. We're going to go back to the family farm. Jermaine he forgot he had a gift for his mother. How could you forget? He had a gift for his mother and he forgot to give it to her because he got so upset about his uncle. So we're going to go back and maybe spend a couple days on the farm and relax and see how things go. And everybody maybe unwind a little bit, which I think we all need. Maybe get to know this pyre woman a little. So it'll be fun. I can't wait to see what happens. In the meantime, stay tuned for lots more crazy videos and all kinds of fun stuff. I hope I get to see you at a table someday. And keep rolling 20s.